transplanting, and so you can see what I'm up to. Once again, we've got the root trapper here, 3 gallon. Well, as you all know, I like to use the root trappers. I've already shared that time again. Now, one thing I'm going to do is these trees right here, they were started in 2019, and later in the year of 2019 they were separated. They were in a 2 gallon, 3 gallon pot, a whole series of them, and I separated them and planted them individually inside of these root trappers, and I've got a good handful of these. Now, these two were started in 2019 in a pot. They were wintered in that same pot. And then last year, I broke the pot apart and stuck them in here. You can see the difference in the growth. These right here haven't greened out as quickly because I brought them in a month after I had brought these in. And what we're going to do is, these are going to go into 3 gallon pots, and this one right here is going to go into a 1 gallon pot. So, and it'll give us an opportunity to see how the roots turned out on these. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and get started with this. I've got my rooting hormone. We're going to have a look to see the difference between the roots of each pot and see how it goes. That there is going to have much longer taproot. I suspect these is going to have a lot of fiber involved. Got a lot of root down there in the bottom. And what we're going to do next, and I just broke a leaf off there, is I'm just going to set it down in here. And I'm just going to take my rooting hormone, sprinkle a little bit around it. I didn't even break that root up. See what happens with these trees. I'm going to grow these trees for a little while. This would have been the 3rd season for them to be in 1 gallon root trapper pots, and I wanted to give them more time, a few of them, before I try to graft. And I'm going to set this in here off to the side. I've got 2 of them that I wanted to do, and oops, let me get my 3 gallon pot in here first. And there's got a couple of stems coming out, and got a lot of root fiber coming out the side of that. And believe this or not, I forgot to throw dirt in there. But man, you can see the root around in there. About the right height. Now, dabble a little bit of rooting hormone down in this one as well. You know, something I'm going to try and do, I'm going to throw dirt to it And then I'm gonna put a little bit more rooting hormone in there on this one, just for good measure. And give them a lot of time to grow in there. What I'm trying to do is me personally, it's just from my own personal experience, dabbling around, is I'm gonna allow this tree to grow inside the pot for a little while, let the limbs come out, and then I'm gonna start looking at limbs when the tree has it, probably 2 years from now, to see about grafting. But I'm going to graft in a series of different limbs is what I'm after, and that's the reason why I did this. And thought while I'm doing it with the seedlings, I'll do it with a couple of root suckers, and hopefully I can get some good results out of both of them. But it give me an idea of what it is that I want to do in the future. So far I've had better luck grafting in seedlings than root suckers as far as percentage-wise, but as far as how the grafts turned out, the root suckers that I grafted into were more robust than what they were in the seedlings. Now I'll set this one to the side. I measured those. Those are 26 inches tall, as a matter of fact. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a root trapper. That is a 1 gallon root trapper. Now, I didn't use the root trappers that those 2 pots came out of because they need to be cleaned up and sterilized. These ones right here have been cleaned up and sterilized. And what I'm going to do is we're going to take one out of a tall 1 tree pot, and we're going to have a look at what the root looks like in that tall 1 tree pot. Now I suspect you're going to see more taproot than anything, and I brought my trusty shears, which have been sterilized by the way, to clip the root down because that root's going to be deeper than those root trapper pots. Let me find a good candidate to do this with. There's one we could try. Remember what I just said. These right here were started in 2019 as well as the others, but they were crowded the entire year of 2019 until last year when I separated them and planted them as individuals. Let's have a look-see. Now, down in the bottom of that, you can see the root, but it's real dark. And my suspicion is it's because of moisture. You know, if you're not careful, see, you can see some of it coming apart now. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do this. Got a lot of taproot, and you do have a lot of fiber up here. And a lot of that's got to do with the air pruning down at the bottom of the pot, and that's very, very flimsy. So here's what my next step that I'm going to give out here is that was a different soil, by the way. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip that root off. Take a close look, make sure I'm not mashing down on the root. Need to take a little bit more off. leave as much fiber as I can on there because that fiber is what's going to feed that tree. There, that's about right. Now, I just caused a lot of stress to that little seedling, and what we're going to do is break out a little bit of stress reliever, and I'm going to get some rooting hormone on that little booger, trying to help it out. There on the very end where I created the cut. I'm being generous with that rooting hormone. Now, set this to the side, get it out of the way. That's a healthy looking little pawpaw. I'll give it that. Just don't have the sides. I'm reaching over here and I'm grabbing the dirt that I got set aside for it. I'm not using the dirt that's over here. I'm using the dirt that's right here, different soil, giving it a different taste, as you may want to say. Now all I got to do is water it in real well and see what happens. And this one's going to be going into this bucket. Oh, it's lonesome. And let's see here. Them 3-gallon pots is going to take a lot of water to really get them to settle into place. And we're going to see how that works out later on down the road. If I'm going to have any problems with any of them, more likely it's going to be this one right here. Oop. I'll be coming down here off and on throughout the evening, put more water to them too right there, because like I said, those 3-gallon pots, they take an awful lot of water for that soil to get saturated, and then I can do my regular watering afterwards. But this is just something that I want to show you that I'm up to. These right here, as you can see, they're just way too small for grafting this year, and there might be a couple of them in there that I might be able to get a graft into, but I highly doubt it. But just something that I wanted to share. Well, I hope you all have a good growing season this year. I hope things go well. We've finally gotten through the first year of this so-called pandemic, and yeah, I said last year we're going to get through this. Why? Because we ain't got a choice. Looks like that's working out that way. Anyhow, if you like what you see, subscribe. Don't forget to click on that bell for notifications. You all have a God blessed day.